Do you know when you invite someone round, maybe when you were younger, and they'd come into your room and you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, my room's a mess. And you sort of like chit chat, have a catch up and clean your room in the process. And then all of a sudden you look around and your room was clean. That's the vibe we're going for today. I am going to attempt to clean and declutter the house, and we're gonna have a catch up. If you don't know me and you've just come for a cleaning video, my name's Alice. I'm a serial creative gal. I just like making things, whether that's crochet or sewing or graphic design. I literally do a mixture of things. So welcome. If you would like to subscribe, if you enjoy this video, please do. I am going to try and blitz my entire house. Focusing mainly on downstairs because we're having people around tonight and it's a bit cluttered, it's a bit dusty, it's a bit grotty. I want to clear downstairs mainly, but if I'm feeling motivated and inspired, I'm gonna continue up the stairs. I actually asked for questions on Instagram, so if you don't already follow me on Instagram, you know what to do. It's currently 1:15, so wish me luck. Luckily for me, we spot cleaned this kitchen yesterday, but I do want to sort of go in and just generally declutter. Like the hob is dirty, there's stuff all over this side. I was cutting out a sewing project, so I needed to use the floor, so that's just ended up here. So I think first task is probably clear out the clutter. I'm gonna just put it on the stairs and then we'll go from there. All right, we're starting off pretty deep. I compare myself to other people my age and wonder where I went wrong. I cannot relate to this anymore. With the age of social media, we have so much information readily available to us. Like you just go on your phone and you're either looking at people that have just got married or have had babies or are going on holiday. There'll be an occasional post that's like people keeping it real and they're having a bad day, but really your brain remembers the good bits. Like this was really obvious when you think about it, but I have realised comparing yourself on social media is something we're all kind of doing when we're consuming it. Like as much as I love to get in and just like have a little scroll on my phone, that little scroll often turns into a very long scroll. And I'll like look at my screen time at the end of the day and see that I've spent hours and hours just like wasting away scrolling on social media when that's just not healthy for anyone. So I actually, literally yesterday, what is this? Don't know. Yesterday and sort of part way through the day before, I decided not to go on social media for the entire day. Now, obviously with my job, that does make it a little bit different because I went to work and I'm effectively a social media manager at work, so I need to go on it for that purpose. But in terms of like aimlessly scrolling, I didn't. And you know what I found? I felt much lighter in my head. Like I didn't think, oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing this. Like, of course, there was times where I was accidentally picking up my phone and going on social media, but the general gist was I felt like a lot less tension in me. So when it comes to like comparing yourself and like wondering where you went wrong, your journey is literally nothing like anyone else's. Like you can't, it's easy to say, of course, but you can't compare what you're up to anyone else. Like there's people in my year at school that have got 4 children, have been settled down for ages. There's also people in my year at school that are traveling the world. Like everyone is literally on a different journey. It's silly to compare my journey with theirs, you know? So I guess you just kind of have to look at it that way, and there's not really a solid answer for it. I've just applied Cif to the sink because there's so many watermarks on this sink. So I always, ever so often, very gently get the big guns out and put some Cif on the sink just to sort of scuff away those stains because they just don't go for anything else. So yeah, I've realised I need to take some time to give myself the headspace away from social media and just allow myself to be me in my own little world, not caring or wondering what anyone else is doing, which is weird because I feel like we're all so addicted to social media, right? Like it's such a big part of our lives. I literally grew up getting home from school and logging into MSN and just chatting to my friends all night. But now we have that option like so readily available in our hands. I feel like it's changed the dynamic a little bit. So yeah, I guess if you're feeling like that, I recommend taking some time away from your phone, doing something you enjoy. Like I've recently started sewing and crafting and like learned how to knit. And that's been really nice to like have something to do with my hands. So I'm not just watching telly like twiddling my fingers. I need to be occupied. I need to have my brain occupied, but not in a way that involves like watching a TV show whilst simultaneously scrolling endlessly on social media, because I just don't think that's healthy. You could even set like limits on your phone for like how long it lets you stay on socials. But yeah, that's my take on that. That sink looks so much better already. Let's unload the dishwasher. Okay, this one's kind of in a sort of similar remit. Do you have a current goal? I don't, and it's stressing me out. I'm not really sure. Like, my goal for years was to buy a house. Like, I saved up all my money to buy a house. Now, I won't lie, I like sort of sit and think, well, is this it? Is this, I've done the house, I've got the relationship, like other than having children, which I know I don't want yet, I will in the future, but I don't want yet. I'm like, what is life now? Do I just work to pay for the house? There's a bit of like unknown there. I was actually listening to an audiobook and people were saying it's not about this like final end point, like you won't reach this thing and like be happy and feel complete. There'll always be something else you want to strive to. And like I always put it back to, I remember being at school and really wanting a MacBook Pro computer. Like this is a bit of a poor example, but I always really remember how much it was my dream to get a MacBook. Like they were so cool. They had them in the computer room at school and they looked amazing. I got one, amazing. So proud of myself, saved up for it, paid for it with my own money. But then in a few years' time, the new one comes out. Or in a few years' time, I realised, oh, actually, I need a screen to be able to do these designs that I want to do on my MacBook Pro. Or actually, I need this amazing new mouse. Like, yes, I had that thing I was like lusting after for so long, but then something else always comes up. So there needs to be some sort of way of settling and being happy with what you have in that current moment, which I guess also goes back into social media because there's so much around like consumerism and like buying new things when actually you probably don't need that much more. I forgot what the question was. Oh, don't having a goal. Oh my god, this sink is sparkling. I love it when it's clean. So yeah, I'd say if you're worried that you don't have a goal, I kind of went on a tangent. Maybe just small steps every day to something that you kind of think is something you want is a good way of like moving forward. I think it's okay being okay with where you're at. Like there's nothing wrong with not having a goal right now. You're just living your life, you're going to work, you're coming home, you're making tea, and that's it. Maybe you don't have a goal because you don't have the headspace for a goal. Maybe the stress of trying to figure it out is the reason why you can't. Like it's your mind's way of being like, actually just live your life and we'll figure it out another day. There's also a fine balance, obviously, because you don't want to just sort of sit and rot in your house. But there's always that pressure to be doing something else. So I guess we just need to kind of learn to be okay with what's already happening. Probably not the best idea to start unloading the dishwasher whilst I've got a microphone on. You know what, I never used to understand why my mum rushed around when people were coming round to clean the house. Like, to me, it didn't really matter as a kid. Like, why does the house need to be clean, mum? And now, here I am, a homeowner. Although the people coming round are friends, so I actually don't mind if they saw it messy. But I'm like, must clean the house. Must be nice. Isn't that weird? Like, such a switch in mindset. Why does my boyfriend insist on drying things on the windowsill? Like, this has been dried for a solid 3 days and it's still here. The difference is he has ADHD, well ADD, and I can't get anything done unless the house is clean. There's a TikTok that's like, there's always someone in the relationship that needs to relax before they clean up after dinner, and then there's that person that can't relax until they've cleaned up after dinner, and then they get married. That is literally my relationship. This cloth, by the way, I bought Hannah one as a moving in present. So good. It's the best microfiber ever. I love her. It's a minky cloth. No one probably cares, but I will link down below if you need a good minky cloth. Okay, sink is done. Dishwasher is done. Just gonna quickly speed clean the hob. Top tip, if you have a metal splashback, by the way, get a little magnet, stick your recipe cards on the splashback. Makes it so easier to read them. So much easier to read them. Also, if your hob looks streaky, just turn the light off. No one needs to know. It's not that deep, she says as she's scrubbing her entire house, and no one else cares about it. If you've watched me before, you'll know, oh, that angle is not good. You'll know that I don't touch this corner because it's my boyfriend's coffee corner and I don't understand what anything is. I'm scared of breaking it. So that just stays like that until he cleans it. There's too many expensive coffee things on there for my liking. Let's go for something a bit more chill. Next question is, what's your favourite snack? That's my kind of question, guys. So I'm really bad at choosing favourites because I'm too indecisive, and I feel like the pressure, what if I choose my favourite and I change my mind, but I've already told someone that it's my favourite? Is that an autism thing? Not sure, but I always feel the pressure. But I can name a few things that I like. My current obsession, well, it's been an obsession for a while, is candy floss grapes. So good. It depends which ones you get. I'm almost hesitant to say my favourites because what if they get all bought out? I'm saying that like thousands and thousands of people watch these vlogs. But the best ones are from Morrison's. Candy floss grapes from Morrison's, elite. Not sure about Marks and Spencer's, they're probably better, but I'm a girl on a budget and Marks and Spencer's is nowhere near my house. And I don't fancy fighting with old ladies weekly to get my fix. So we'll not be going there to try theirs. But Morrison's are the one. It's like 2 for something, there's an offer on, and I love them. I'm creating a very large pile on the stairs. I'm at that point where I'm just moving things backwards and forwards. When I go into the next room and you see all this stuff that I've just moved into it, mind your business. Where's the cloth? Unhealthy snack. Really unhealthy, always dairy milk. If you've watched me for a while, you know I am a dairy milk obsessed gal. I could just give me any size bar of dairy milk, I'd probably inhale it in one go. Apart from those giant, like, £10 bars. They're probably more than £10 now. They take me a fair few sittings, but mainly because I want it to last, not because I'm not capable of eating the whole thing in one go. Because I definitely am. I also love a Belvita. Cheeky little Belvita. Specifically, Lidl or Aldi's own, because they're a lot less expensive and tasty. So I'm here for it. I like the filled ones, I like the chocolate chip ones. I'm here for that. I'm gonna have to mop the floors, so I'm just gonna chuck that on the floor and think about that in a second. Next one, crisp combo. My favourite crisp. See how I'm like summarising every section of the treat area? So I love the Walker's Sensations chicken flavoured roast chicken crisps with like sour cream and chive dip. Yes, please. That is the one. I tried the Aldi dupes for those chicken crisps and they weren't nice. They tasted burnt, which made me very sad because they're quite expensive crisps, but when you need a crisp fix, highly recommend. How much better does that table look? We went to a family wedding recently and we ended up coming home with 2 vases that were just gonna go to waste. So maybe I need some like flowers or something in here. It's a very large vase. I'm just gonna leave it there for now. Down here I also have the spare wallpaper. We had 1 spare roll and then loads of offcuts, but I want to save these because I'm pretty confident at some point Gus will end up scratching the wallpaper. I don't want to put them in the shed because what if they get damp? So far they've just been living behind the table for about a month, but I don't know where to put them. Maybe in the loft, but our loft's not boarded. You just kind of have to just throw things up there and hope they don't get lost. I've just added them to the pile of things on the stairs that I need to take up. Let's just clear this last corner and then we're done in the kitchen for now. Did I answer the snack question thoroughly enough? Probably did, didn't I? I had like 4 different topics. Did you see that? I thought that was my water bottle. I've currently got the robot hoover cleaning the kitchen because I'm lazy. That's going to be the pre-clean clean. If you're feeling a bit bougie, definitely buy a robot hoover, by the way. Lazy person's dream. Next question. Okay, a bit more serious. How do you keep track of finances / budgeting? So I am most definitely the budget person in our relationship. I set up all the bills, I make sure we've got money. If we don't have money, I move money, like I do all that. So right from the start, when we were buying this house, because I'm a planner, I had sort of pre-checked what everything was gonna cost. So I kind of knew how much the council tax would be, paying for the bins, like all the boring stuff I knew. So I had like a bit of an idea. So if you're moving out or anything like that, I recommend doing your research and looking. The only things you can't really pre-plan for is like gas and electric, because you don't really know how much you're going to use. And obviously that changes depending on what season it is. So obviously in winter you use more gas and more electric. So it goes up and down dependent. But it takes like maybe 3-4 months, and then there'll be a bit of a steady flow of how much everything's going to be. I've got a vase cupboard down here and I'm kind of overflowing. I don't know what to do about this. I've got a problem. Excuse me. Right, I'm going to do that in a second when I can actually reach it. So I had a rough idea. Then, since we've been in the house, I have used my Starling account. So has this stopped tracking me? It has. One moment. Hello? I've also opened the blind in my living room, so if anyone walks past the house now, they're going to think I'm absolutely crackers. I have a Starling account, and me and my boyfriend have a joint account on Starling. It was really, really easy to set up, and that just means that we put all of our money into that every month, and then all the bills come out on the 1st of the month. Most places will ask you what date you want things to come out. We chose the 1st because my boyfriend got paid on the 28th of the month. Some people get paid like mid-month, so just check that. But Starling has this... Why am I out of breath? Starling has a really good and clear way of like measuring what's coming in and out. You can like categorize everything, and I basically just sort of go through it once a month, maybe a couple of times a month if it's particularly tight. Gus is currently sniffing the camera, so if it falls over, you know why. And then I'll go in and put X amount of money into the bills pot, and that's where the bills come out of. It's kind of hard to explain. Then we'll have a pot that we save money into for fun things like holidays. Then we'll have a pot emergency expenses, so I always like to make sure there's like an X amount of money in that part. And in Starling you can like point the bills to different places, so we put the big chunk of money for like the mortgage, the gas, the electric, insurance, all the boring stuff comes out of this pot, so we know straight away anything left over is like spending money. We also have a food shop pot, and then anything that's left over after that is like free game, either goes into savings or we go out for takeaway or whatever. It's been a bit different because obviously I've been self-employed for this entire relationship, so let me just pop this in the kitchen. So yeah, because I've been self-employed, it's been a little bit trickier to sort of figure out finances because I get paid sporadically throughout the month. So some months I could be absolutely loaded in my head, like raking it in, and then other months could be a big fat zero. So in terms of that, I've been putting in what I can afford, and then when I do have a big job or like a big payment that comes in, I'll put a chunk in, and then that kind of lasts for a couple of months at a time. So I recommend Starling. Love Starling. Go through your like normal account, look at all the subscriptions you've got going on, look at any direct debits, like things that come in and out of your account. And if it's like something you've not used for a while, maybe you pay monthly for like Amazon Prime, and actually you don't really need Prime. Like I every so often will buy Prime for when I desperately need something like next day, like a work thing, and then I'll cancel it the next month because you can get free delivery anyway. You just need your basket to be £20 and above, and that most of the time I'll just add things into my basket, wait till it gets to £20, and then you get free delivery. And you also don't get a very angry Amazon Prime driver. Has anyone noticed that? Amazon Prime drivers are scary. Like, don't turn the corner when one of them's on the loose because she's gonna run you over. Right, I'm gonna have to sort this cupboard. The awkward thing with this cupboard is that I can't open the door fully, and I also can't be bothered to. So, should I just put a candle on the top? I have a hunch we'll be playing with the switch later when our friends come round. I think that's kind of it. It just needed neatening up, and then I'll just like wipe the surfaces. We're not going to go too hard on that because I quite frankly can't be bothered. Shut up. You want to say hi? Not at all happy he's not getting any attention. We've got some uni related questions, so I'll answer them in a bit of a collection. I loved your uni videos. If you could go back in time, would you go to uni again? Yes, but with some terms and conditions. Why can I never answer anything just like a straightforward answer? So I would probably not go back to first year because it was very stressful. If you watched my vlogs back then, you'll know that I didn't have the best situation with my flat. Obviously in first year, you just get sort of like dumped with whoever they choose. Like you don't get to choose your flatmates. And I wasn't put with the best of flats. We just didn't get on as like housemates. Friends more so, but not really housemates. So I didn't stay in that flat for very long. We moved in September, and I moved out into my own studio flat in the December, Christmas Eve. So that was fun and stressful. and expensive. So I wouldn't go back to first year because it was all just a bit disjointed. I was very busy. I came back to Doncaster most weekends because I needed to work to be able to afford it. Like, I literally never stopped. And then when I did stay at uni on a weekend, I felt quite lonely because I hadn't made like a solid group of friends. Then in second year, things were up a little bit. Got a house, nice flatmates. Like, we were very different people, but we'd get on and it was fine and it wasn't grubby, and like didn't have to wash my pots in the shower like I did in my first year house. So that was pretty good. And that was the year that I got really, really close to Jade. If anyone remembers my uni vlogs, you might remember my friend Jade. She was and is amazing. I saw her literally last week. We're still very good friends. And that's when I met Jade and all her housemates, and I sort of started creating a group of friends. So if I could choose, I'd probably go back to second year for that part. But out of all 3 years, third year in terms of living situation was definitely the best. Solid group of friends. Again, I'm still in touch with everyone. I think first year there's more pressure to like go out and get drunk and be crazy. Hopefully that attitude's changed now, because I think people's attitude to drinking in general has changed. But back then it was a bit like I was the odd one out because I didn't really want, like, I'd go out and have a great time for a couple of nights of Freshers Week, but that was me done. I was happy. I'd probably go out like once a month after that. So yes, I'd go back to uni. I miss the ease of just like texting my friends, like Matty and Lena. Please let me know if you watched the vlogs back then, because I used to love, at one point I daily vlogged, so everyone was like featured in it quite a lot. And we used to do the most amazing nights out. We did like Easter egg hunts in the house. We went to beer cellar all the time. It was really, really fun. And I'm obviously probably remembering it with rose tinted glasses and not remembering like the tough times, but that was just a really nice house to live in. And again, I saw that whole friendship group recently and it felt like no time had passed. But really, I'd not seen them all for like 6 years. I think the living room's done. Oh, I do need to sort this corner out. Welcome to Alice's crochet / knitting corner. So for my birthday, I got this box given to me by my boyfriend, and it was a kit with all the stuff to make a blanket. I've done the blanket, so I can now get rid of the box. I wouldn't recommend this company though, because it's very overpriced for what you get. But the thought was there and it was very thoughtful, and I did enjoy making it, but I wouldn't buy it myself. This is the blanket. Quite small for a blanket, to be honest, but I just need to weave in the ends. Again, a job for another day. I'm not sure where to put that in the meantime. And then I also got some knitting books, so I just need to put these back under here somewhere. This space under the coffee table is definitely due for an organisation, but not today. Give the windowsill a quick scrub. I think this is due a paint. I really don't think I've ever properly filmed in this bathroom because it's so small. I'm just hoping that with the tracker on this camera, love this camera by the way, hopefully we get a decent angle. I've just found this. I thought it was bathroom cleaner, but it's multi-purpose. I probably should have been using this from the start. Next question. Do you miss your small business? Great question. And sometimes I think, oh, I liked sitting and like packing orders and seeing people open the orders. But again, I think I'm looking at it with rose tinted glasses, because a lot of the time was spent like looking for suppliers or trying to design things and then hating everything I designed. Like, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't not fun, but it was difficult. So yes, I miss it. I miss the fun of like people having things, and like, especially when I see other people running such successful small businesses, I'm like, oh, I do miss that. Like, occasionally I'll be like, oh, should I open like an apparel shop? And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do like a print on demand thing. And then I realise, actually, I think I'm just consuming too much social media and people are vlogging about it, and it makes me want to do everything. Yes, the answer is I do miss my small business. Wow, this angle though, very revealing angle of my toilet that I've never filmed before. I do miss it. I get my fix of small business from watching my friend Hannah's vlogs. She owns Sunnyside. You'll probably know her. We both talk about each other's videos a lot. You're probably sick of hearing about it. Yeah, I don't think I miss the pressure of it. I think I was putting too much pressure on myself to like release new things all the time, and then once you'd spent a lot of money on something it didn't work out, I took it really personally. Like, it was a hard balance, and I found it quite difficult to show up for myself on social media and then also for a business on social media, especially with how saturated everything is now. Like, it feels like almost everyone's doing it. So trying to like shout your product that you've spent hours and hours of love, care and attention into what feels sometimes like an abyss is quite draining, especially when it doesn't work. But don't get me wrong, I had some amazing times. Like, It was so fun being able to hire my mum to help, and like we packed orders together. We had a little routine. She worked for me one day a week and we like did it all together. And the memories of me like moving all the products from my uni house back into my parents' house. I loved that. So yeah, there was a lot of fun about it, but it was definitely time. The water in Doncaster is really hard water. I swear I could wipe these taps twice a day and they'd still have limescale on them. I just don't understand. And I'm too much of a lazy gal to be wiping my taps 3 times a day. Like, I don't even wipe them 3 times a week. Probably the issue, actually. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. That's just not coming off. Just gonna let that soak for a second. And you know what? I'm not gonna film myself cleaning the toilet. I feel like that's one step too far, but just now I'm about to clean the toilet and then I'll throw this cloth in the bin and we'll move elsewhere. How's life at the minute? And then another one says, how's everything? Hope everything's okay. How's everything with the new job? So life is good. If you didn't know, I recently got a part-time job 2 days a week. It's only 14 hours a week, but it's perfect. I'm based in Sheffield and Leeds, so I travel between both sites, and I'm pretty much the social media manager for a company. I'm not gonna like go into the company and stuff, mainly because I'm like kind of paranoid. Like last time I shared about my job, it all went tits up. Like, I didn't end up there for very long, like my experience wasn't very good and everything went a bit south. So I think I'm just a bit superstitious, so I'm not gonna share anything more about that. But yeah, I really, really love it. Like the teams are so nice. Obviously there's 2 separate teams. We're actually going out on a team day soon, and we're going to Manchester and we're doing the Cube experience where you literally are in the TV show The Cube and you have to work it out. Like that is literally my dream. Like I'm gonna have so much fun. I'm gonna get so competitive. The person I've been paired with apparently is also very competitive, so I'm glad about that, because if I got paired with someone that wasn't bothered, I would have been so frustrated. I would have been getting like desperate to win. So that should be fun, and I'm looking forward to it because obviously I only go 1 day a week, which means not seeing everyone all the time. So I do sometimes feel a little bit out of the loop, and I'm also not the best with like small talk and like figuring out what to say in situations like that. So I'm hoping like going on this work event will be a nice like casual way for everyone to realise I'm not like a bitch. I don't know, I have this thing where I feel like because I'm quite quiet and I just get on with my work, and then every so often I'll have like a spontaneous burst of like chattiness, that people think I'm awful. They probably don't, but it's my overthinking brain. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Life in general as well is really good. So my boyfriend's actually just got a new job. If you didn't know, he's a mental health nurse. So right from when I met him, he worked shifts. So shifts with no pattern. So he could be working 12 hours a day, either overnight, in the morning, or in the evenings. So yeah, there was no pattern to his shifts, which we were used to. I tried to match my shifts with his, but that was impossible. Like, I can't work for 12 hours a day. I honestly don't know how he and other people in that profession do it, because it's high intensity work for a very long amount of time. Like, that's not okay. But I couldn't physically match his shifts very well, so I often found myself like in the middle of the week like losing my mojo and not doing much work because he was off, and then like on a weekend he was working, and I was like, my family wanted us to go out, like obviously I don't know, it just felt a bit disjointed. So now he's got a 9 to 5, which he's never had ever since being qualified, and he's been doing that for like almost 2 weeks now, and it is such a novelty. He keeps getting home at like 5:30, and then we sit and look at each other and think, well, what now? Like, there's so much time. Because before, when he was on like a full day or whatever at work, he wouldn't get home until 7:30. Well, he'd finish at 7:30, he'd get home at 8, and he'd be like exhausted, obviously because of the nature of his work. He's still in the same field, it's just a different department, I guess, so he's not there as often, and hopefully it won't be quite as intense. But so far already it's like amazing actually having time together on a weekend. So that's been a really nice change in life, because I think we were we definitely were sort of done with not really being able to spend weekends together. Like, all of our family members work 9 to 5. So trying to find dates to like see my family and his family was ridiculous. Like we couldn't plan very far ahead. We couldn't book weekends away because his rota only came out like 6 weeks in advance. So hopefully now, once we've got used to it, we'll be able to actually make the most of our time. The only thing we're a little bit nervous about is because he's not on like overtime, unsociable hours. His wage might be a little bit lower, but I'm the finance gal. We will sort it out. Like everything's going to be good. And I think for the return of actually having a job that he doesn't have to be on like high alert 24/7 is just worth it in itself. So yeah, I mean, I've just answered how's life and spoke about my boyfriend. My life's good. I feel like, in fact, let's take this stuff up the stairs whilst I'm talking to you. I'm gonna put this cloth in the wash because it's dirty. My life is good. I have been struggling slightly recently with knowing what direction I want to go in with my own social media, but that's like a bit of an ongoing thing that's been happening for a while. It's probably not a surprise to anyone. I was feeling that before I got this job. Now I have this job and I was letting myself have the time. I need to actually do jobs. I was letting myself have the time to like figure it out before I looked into my own social media. But now I'm at the point where I have got used to this job and I do kind of know what's going on. So I'm like, right, well, next job is figuring out what I want to do. So I'm kind of at a bit of like a crossroads. I basically asked until I got a bit desperate the other day because I was like sat at my desk thinking like, what do I want my presence to be online? What do I enjoy? What do I want to put out there? What do I want to share? It's basically all the questions I was asking myself. Oh my God. So I asked ChatGPT to help me choose a direction, basically. I was just a bit intrigued to see how it would do that. Told it that I liked crafting, I've got into sewing, like I found a lot of peace in crafting activities, and I kind of want to incorporate that a little bit more into what I do, but also I'm very aware that that is quite a big shift. Or is it? Is it just a big shift in my head? I'd love to know people's feedback. I mean, if you've watched this far into the video, you must be quite dedicated because I've been rambling for a lot now. I'm not sure what it looks like, but I definitely want to share more about crafting and mindfulness and stuff like that. Not sure. Okay, we're on to upstairs. Just realised I've not done the skirting boards downstairs. Right, first up, the office, where I've just dumped a lot of that stuff. Not today. That is getting closed. Not today. This bathroom, on the other hand, needs doing. First task, I need to find the actual bathroom cleaner because I'm gonna need some deep power action going on. I think the rubber gloves will be going on as well because I'm not about to put my hand down the toilet again. This is a good question. I want to get into content creation / marketing for work. Where do I start? As I mentioned, my job title is content creator, but there's literally me. So I manage all of the socials for the company and like how that looks. And I report to the director and his number one. Is that how you phrase that? I don't know. The person below him, basically. Obviously, I've got experience managing my own, but I've definitely noticed that it's different managing like a company profile that hasn't got any connection to me. I was actually looking the other day, like trying to find ways where I could improve what I was doing and like train myself into other things. It's very like self-led at this job, which I like because I'm just so used to working by myself. Having someone bossing me around all the time would most definitely drive me insane. So what I was doing, I looked online and I actually found that Google do a course on marketing. I'll see if I can find it. I think it was called like Google Toolkit or something, I'm not sure. I'm not gonna be able to focus this on my face because I've got rubber gloves on now. So I definitely recommend like looking online for various courses. There's obviously Skillshare. I've used and loved that a lot over the years. Previous partner, not sponsored currently, although that would be great. Skillshare if you're watching. Who's even watching this at this point? There's so many ramblings happening right now. Yeah, so definitely watch some courses, follow people that are doing what you'd like to do, but do that mindfully because that goes back into the thing of like thinking you should be doing more all the time and it getting toxic. So only look at those people in your work hours. Like when you've defined your work hours, don't just like maybe have a separate business Instagram account and a separate TikTok business account just so you can separate spray, like normal, like daily scrolling. I know that was a lot of spray, but I've not cleaned this bathroom in a long time, so it has to be what it has to be. Do I have to leave it on for a certain time? Minimum 5 minutes? Let's set timer for 5 minutes. I think I might choke myself out before then. Oh my God, I've sprayed too much. So definitely do that. I also say, if you don't already, make your own social media. There's no better way to learn how to manage someone else's social media than to just do it yourself. And they're almost, I guess maybe this doesn't apply to everyone, but to me, there feels like there's less pressure making stuff for my own channel because it's me. Like, I'm not going to tell myself off if it doesn't perform well. Like, there is a pressure in a way that, like, showing your face online can be quite daunting, and doing something that puts yourself out there like that is intimidating if you've not done it for over 10 years like I have. But so many people do it now, and you could literally be in the same situation next year where you like look back and think, oh, I wish I'd done that, and you still haven't. So you like, literally, what have you got to lose? People don't care about it as much as you think they will. Our spider plant grew flowers and it was a bit creepy. It came out of nowhere, but now they just look like this and I'm a bit scared of them. I need to chop them off, but there was just like a lot of sap and like, how far down? I don't know, I'm just gonna chop. I love and appreciate you for giving me flowers, but actually, what do I do with you? Clearly she's thriving. Anyway, what was I talking about? So yeah, social media, do it yourself. Follow people that do it. Do some courses. It doesn't have to be expensive. I love Skillshare because this literally sounds like an ad, because it's literally like a monthly thing. So if you start a course from a particular like teacher and it's not resonating with you, you can just go on to another one. You're not paying for like, you don't have to stick to one course and that's it. That's what you've paid for. You can like jump around. So if you started one and it's kind of not what you thought it was going to be, you just switch to another one, which is what I like as an indecisive gal. Disgusting. It was one of yous. It was you. I need another question, but I've got a rubber glove on. See if we can, oh my God, I can use my nose. Favourite movies / TV shows. Let's go with something a little bit lighter. Currently, me and my boyfriend are watching, what's it called? Oh my God, why is my brain gone dead? Grey's Anatomy. How could I forget? Never ever watched that before. At first I wasn't convinced, but actually now I quite like the characters and it's kind of easy watching. We've sort of replaced our evening viewing of EastEnders with Grey's Anatomy because my boyfriend wasn't enjoying the storylines on EastEnders, so I'm just sort of watching that myself. So we're watching Grey's Anatomy together. I'm still watching and loving the tacky soap that is EastEnders. Just started watching Married at First Sight UK again. That's out, so if you watched last year, public service announcement, it's back, and already so far I feel like it's going to be a good one. People are already arguing. But there actually are some really good matches that I think will work out, or I hope they will. What else? Movies. I don't really watch films because I have the attention span of a goldfish. Honestly, the most recent movie I watched was Camp Rock because I kept seeing that Demi Lovato had done a documentary on it, on like her life, and it made me want to watch Camp Rock. You definitely see it in a whole different light when you're watching it as an adult and you know sort of what went down back then. So just bear that in mind if you watch Camp Rock. But yeah, we've recently got a Disney Plus subscription again, so we've kind of been watching Grey's, and then I think I want to watch, I'm in like a nostalgia era. I want to watch Matilda. That used to be my favourite film. These are probably not the recommendations you thought you were going to get, but I'm a creature of habit and I know that I like those films, so they're probably what I choose. What else? Like Mean Girl. No, not Mean Girls, I didn't mean that. I meant Wild Child. I keep getting references to Wild Child on my TikTok as well. So that's always fun because that again was another like classic, my generation film that people watched. And actually when you watch it now, it's a bit strange, but still a classic, you know? What else? Did I hear a thing that where they're doing a new Wizard of Waverly Place? Is that a thing? Am I making that up? Because I used to absolutely love Wizards of Waverly Place. Let me know your current favourite movies and TV shows. Like, I like easy watching. Got any recommendations? I'd love to know your favourite. And then if there's anything you've watched that you think might be up my street, whether it's your favourite or not, just let me know, because now we have evenings together. He goes up in the bath and I've got the telly to myself and I don't know what to do. I'm like, what do I do with all this time? I'm now gonna get in the bath and clean the shower, but I'm not gonna talk to you because I'm gonna be sweating by the end of it, let's be honest. I am slowly losing motivation. Done the big bathroom. It's not even a big bathroom, but to me, I leave it far too long. So like every time I have to clean it, it needs scrubbing. I've done all the skirting boards, I've scrubbed in between the grout, I've literally done everything. So that's done. I think the last bit I'm gonna do is probably this bedroom, and then I'll just go round and hoover upstairs, downstairs, and the stairs. Can you see Gus snoozing? He's not gonna be happy in a second because I'm about to make the bed. Usually I do make the bed when I get up, but I've purposely left it unmade so we can have a satisfying before and after. The rest of these are sort of like life agony aunt vibes, so we'll combine them in some way. So the first one says, I'm so stressed with life and I don't know how to cope. Any tips? Obviously it's completely like dependent on your situation and what's going on in your life. My favorite thing to do when I'm feeling overwhelmed is to stop a second, get out a notebook or even like a notes thing in my phone and write everything down. That's the first thing I do. I'm gonna have to keep wandering off in this room because I'm gonna try and put everything away as I'm talking rather than just moving it to another spot. I usually kind of just like almost brain dump it out. I'll write a full list, no like sense to it, and get it all out of my head. That's like one of the main things. But another thing I've found quite useful, and this is since like I started doing the artist's way, which a lot of creatives started doing online, and it's basically like a program, like book thing that you follow. Gus's favourite thing to do, by the way, is to attack me whilst I'm making the bed. Well, attack the bedding whilst I'm making the bed. So if he starts going absolutely crazy, he's actually having the best time and he'll be purring very loudly. But he's currently sat on the sheet. So yeah, during the artist's way, one of the things that was like non-negotiable that you had to do every day was write in your journal, and it was just like a conscious stream of thoughts, and you just sit down with a pen and a book and you just write whatever you're thinking, whether you deem it as like inappropriate or not okay to think or say, write it down. Just getting it out and on paper is fine. The rule is that no one sees that book other than you, and it's just a way of like venting out whatever's in your head. I don't do that every day. I didn't keep at that for very long, and I kind of knew I wouldn't because I'm just not very good at remembering to do stuff like that. But I do still have the book that I used sat next to me downstairs. So when I do feel quite overwhelmed or like my emotions are just all over the place and I don't know what's going on and life feels tough, I'll sit and write in that journal. And it's literally the most rogue things ever, things I probably won't ever say out loud to anyone, but they're just in my brain. I need to get them out, and I'll 100% guarantee you'll feel so much better once you've done it. Obviously, writing it down won't solve the issue, but it might help you come to a solution in your head or just offload. I'm gonna literally cover him up because first of all, he's in the way, and secondly, he likes it. So yeah, journaling, writing it down, speaking to someone, maybe if there's a way of taking something off your load, like maybe you've said yes to too many things, maybe that's what you can do. I sort of just step back. I'm like, right, things are too much. What can I do to fix it? My boyfriend just slowly collects like 5 too many books on his bedside table. So I'm just gonna let him do that. I'll just pile them a bit neater. That literally took me 2 minutes, if that. I've cleared the clutter and it feels 1,000 times better. This is your sign if you're also a bedside table hoarder. Clear it. It feels way better. I just collect pajama bottoms and stuff down here. Quick little dust. The penultimate question of this little chatty cleaning catch-up, I wonder what I'm going to name this video. How do you deal with creative burnout? Now, I get this all the time. I feel like any creatives will know. It's just sort of part of the territory. It's so hard dealing with creative burnout when being creative is a part of your job. That's what I've found anyway. I often sit and feel so guilty that I've not put out any like amazing creative videos recently or done X, Y, and Z that I've had on my to-do list for so long. Like, why have I not done this? I'm being lazy. But I don't really like, if anyone's got a solution, please tell me because I don't think I've found it yet. But I think the only way you can deal with creative burnout is to give yourself time. But in that moment, that is the most frustrating thing ever. And I don't want to have time. I just want to be able to create. Like, I know I like it, but I just physically can't do it right now. And that is infuriating. I guess one way I've sort of dealt with it recently is to pick up something new. But with that now comes another level of like, oh, I've got another thing that I could be doing. Can I monetize this? Should I do this? Should I do that? And it adds like another level. So there's a balance. I often find reading is nice. Like reading completely switches my brain off. So much so that I only really read before bed because I read like 4 pages of my Kindle and then fall asleep. Getting out and about, like I am very much a home bird. I will happily sit in the house for multiple days. Sometimes, especially when I've had a busy week, I will need a day just to not leave the house, not get dressed, not talk to anyone. And that's also fine. If that's how you need to recharge, do that. I do that often as I can. So doing that, like going for a walk, like my boyfriend's really good at like encouraging me to go out on a walk. I kind of set myself a minimum workable like schedule. So at the very minimum, I like to get one video out a week and a couple Instagram things. That's minimum. That's when I'm struggling. And as long as I stick to that in some capacity, I think that's all right. But honestly, creative burnout is something I deal with on the regular. If anyone watching this has any tips, anything you do. I did see this thing recently that was called Happy Menu, or it wasn't called that. Like self-care menu or dopamine menu potentially was called that. And it's basically a list of things that will definitely make you happy. And you write that down. And then when you feel like you're in need of some happiness, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling down on things, you take things off that menu and apply them. So that could be like having a hot bath or cooking yourself your favourite cheat tea, or you know, like little things that you can do even when you're feeling low. And it takes out that thought process and brain power that you're probably already lacking because past you wrote that down and actually was like, hey, remember this makes you happy, do that. I've done all this and now there's just an array of things in the hallway that need clearing. It just feels so much better. I'm happy with this so far. I'm just going to clear the hallway and then I think I'll do the hoovering and we're done. Let's get the final question. Thank you so much if you've watched all of this video, by the way. This is the kind of video that I would put on in the background and be just doing work and listening to someone ramble on about life. So if you got to the end of this video, let me know what you've been doing whilst you've been watching this. I've got one more question, so don't leave yet, but let me know what you've been up to whilst I've been rambling on and cleaning. It's actually made it go a lot faster than I thought. It's now 3:30, so I've been doing this for almost 2.5 hours, which just feels long. What's one thing you're struggling with at the minute and one thing you're proud of? I thought this was a good balance to end on. What is this bag? It's a bag of dirty clothes from the wedding we went to. So glad this was just in here. One thing I'm struggling with, I mean, I guess I've probably mentioned a lot of things. The main thing that comes to mind again is literally just figuring out how I want to present myself online. I have no idea if my head's chopped off in this clip. This is the one thing with this camera, the screen's too small. So when I get so far away, I can't see. So yeah, struggling with how I want to be online. I want to be myself. That's always been the goal. I had the whole like university phase. Before that I had the classic like wannabe Zoella phase, doing like the makeup tutorials and what's in my handbag and stuff like that. Like that was just kind of what everyone did at that point. That kind of morphed into uni life, vlogging, which then morphed into my life leaving uni and like navigating, earning money and saving for the house and stuff. Oh my God, I just need to show you Gus right now. I told you he loved it under there. All right, you're comfy. Is that one of your favourite spots? If you thought I was being mean, just cover him up with that blanket, he actually has just not moved. Oh, so sleepy, so sleepy. Oh my God, my cat voice is so annoying. I apologise. It's very easy to get distracted by the cat. I apologise. I guess that is the main thing that I've been struggling with recently, like just figuring out what I want to do. I guess I was waiting, well, I said earlier, I was waiting to sort of figure out the whole job situation first. And then once I was somewhat settled in that, I was going to tackle other areas. And I'm at that point now where I'm like, oh, what now? But I also think that goes back to the whole like always trying to do the next thing rather than just sitting in what I've already got and being happy with that. So it's all a learning curve, a work in progress. But I'd say right now that's the main thing. I want to figure out how I want to show up and what that looks like for me. And something that I'm proud of is, I think, my resilience to change. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but I was listening to an audiobook in the car yesterday, and at first it wasn't like really resonating with me. It was talking to artists that do like proper art with like paint and like mediums and stuff, whereas I'm more of like a digital creative, but I'm not sure what. So at first I was a bit like, not sure. But one of the people in the book said they've always been creative, and when they were younger they saw graphic design and thought, wow, that's a great way to monetize being a creative person, is a graphic designer. And that obviously my ears perked up. I was like, oh, that's what I did. And I'm not quite sure if I identify as a graphic designer anymore because I don't really share it. I don't really do much graphic design work. Like, it's interesting. So for someone to say that, I was like, interesting. And then she said that she realised that that was just more of what she thought she should do in order to earn money. Like, that's the linear route. And that resonated with me. I was like, oh my God, maybe that's it. So, I mean, I don't know where I'm going with that analogy, but that just really struck me because I thought, yeah, I've always been creative. I've always wanted to do something creative, but I think the rigidity, is that a word? Of graphic design as a job is not 100% where I want to be at, which is a scary thing to realise when I've branded my entire life for the past few years on that thing. So I'm proud of the fact that I've realised this. Not sure what that means moving forward, but I'm okay with that realisation. And I have these phases. And she said, I realised I'm just an artist. I don't know if I'd class myself as an artist. I think I class myself as a creative, whatever that may entail, no matter what the creative medium is, a creative. And I don't want that classic 9 to 5, sit, do my job, come home, and I've paid the bills. Yes, that's a lot less stressful, but I think I thrive on the ability to adapt and change and figure out something new. So that's what I'm proud of, my ability to do that. That was quite a deep end to a very rambly video. And actually I've still got to hoover. So give me the motivation for that. But yeah, like I said, probably about 5 minutes ago now, let me know what you've been doing whilst you've been watching this video. Probably a lot, because I've done a lot and it's probably going to be a very long video. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really appreciate your love and support. I know everything changes a lot with my channel, but hopefully you're just following along for the journey. Yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time for another video. Bye.